Hello, welcome to the live show, live streaming hangout here. It's been a long week. It will probably be lighting up this week. I intend to. Last week was basically nothing but just a lot of work. A lot of work. Hello there, Jack Ripper. How you doing? So I didn't have time to do pretty much anything last week. But this week is going to be a lot of editing, and I have been pretty hardcore. Hey, Hardcore Motors, what's up? Pretty hardcore into doing a lot of After Effects. So every year, the Chamber of Commerce in the area does a gala. At the end of so Saturday, week from yesterday, will be the gala. I have to do some video work for it. I've done so basically they have a video which announces all the sponsors, and there's a lot of sponsors. So basically, it's they have me develop the program and the logo and all the iconography of it and the look of the whole thing. And now I take that look and convert it to video, and then introduce all the sponsors. And there's dozens and dozens of sponsors, and then go through the entire chamber executive board and the board of directors. And then we're on to the show. And then they have awards. So they have awards for, charitable organization of the year, different levels of businesses of the year, and then citizen of the year. So I have to do little nomination. So the nominees are so and so and so and so. So it goes through that. So I've got that pretty much laid out. So right now, it was rendering when I left the house. Should have been done hours ago. So I'll preview that on Monday, and then just basically be on call to fix stuff until Saturday. And then, but they're also doing a background. They're also doing a separate screen as a background, kind of like what I have here, and also some decorative backgrounds. They want some sort of graphics, so I'll have to incorporate all of that. And that's my week so far. On top of doing at least, I think there's three other shows I recorded I need to edit. So I need to do that. And then on top of that, I do have a recording of one Filmmaker IQ video. I want to do a couple more reviews because I think the reviews are important, but they are not, unfortunately, the first one did not get a lot of views, but that makes sense. Did I work with a designer? No, I did that one all by myself. So I designed the logo and all the graphics on that, and so yeah, I do that. I'm finding myself doing a lot more. I think if I were to classify myself as a video producer, I tend to be more of a post heavy producer in that my shooting tends to be very simple. I tend to gravitate towards simple shots, although I'd like to experiment more with creative, interesting shots. But I do a tremendous amount of graphics and post production work. Obviously look at Filmmaker IQ videos. It's just me sitting here talking. I wish I could do more visually that's more interesting, from a visual aspect. But for being a one-man band, it's sort of easier to just shoot, what do you call it? Edit, basically add a bunch of graphics. Do I have any assistants? Yes, I do have an assistant that helps me out a little bit. But he might be on the stream. Joe, if he's there. Might be sitting there. But right now, this stuff is sort of stuff that I have to kind of get going. I have to get him up to speed on some of the editing techniques that I do. Can I say anything about how creative you were able to be? I was able to be super creative. So, basically, they tell me, hey, here's the theme. What can you do? And I gave him, when I first did the logo, I gave him 3 ideas, to pick from, and then I can develop those ideas further. They actually picked my second favorite idea, but after developing this idea, it's become my favorite idea pretty much. I can show you the invite video to make. Let's see. You probably pull up the invite video if my internet works. Am I streaming? Is my internet working? I don't know what's going on here. Enter. That's weird. Let's see. For some reason now my computer is not connecting to Google. Let's go to YouTube. In fact, nothing's connecting. That's weird. Am I still online? Let's double check. I think I am. I'm still here. Let's see. Why we're not... Oh, now my internet. Am I down? Let's see. I'm secure. I'm connected. You guys are seeing your... You guys are seeing... I'm seeing chats coming through. This is weird. Let's try it over here. Let's go Google. Okay, let's try it one more time. There it goes. Just ticking up. It's Google's being bizarre today. Chrome is being bizarre today. But yeah, I mean, I spent all day yesterday. Well, not all day. I spent all night. No, I spent a good chunk of last night getting it to a pretty good point last night. It's one of those things too. I right now I'm in the mindset of I need to get it done now or else I'm never going to get it done. So I've been trying to push myself to get. I mean, I've kind of like whiplashed back from taking care of my mom all the time and basically having no time to do any work to now all I do is work. So I mean, I realize it's part of a coping strategy. I mean, I do get to see my mom every day or I haven't gone every single day, but I've been going like at least every other day because I've just been super, super busy. But like yesterday I shot a piano recital for a friend of mine, and then I drove home, but it's such a long drive that I was so tired that I didn't do a whole lot until I went and got some shabu shabu, one of my favorite shabu shabu places. Here it is, finally. I'm getting there, guys. Copy link. Here, I'll show you the invite video so you can see what it looks like. And I'll go into browser. Yep, that one. I'll go there. And advanced. Nope. General. This is exciting watching me clicking on stuff. This is the height of streaming technology. This is when man first came up with streaming video ideas, they thought this is how you're going to do it. Man, I can't get the load up on my there it goes. Okay. Fade to over. Can you guys still hear me? Yeah, I think you should be able to hear me. Browser. All right, here we go. If it ever loads, geez, what's with my internet connection here? This is weird. Today is weird. It's kind of raining. Let's go back to me. Back to me. I'm sorry, guys. This is so like I don't know what's going on here. Let's do a speed test on my internet. I should probably do this before I start streaming, shouldn't I? Speedtest.net. Let's go that. Anyhow, back to you guys. Let's see. Hey, Left Hand Puppetry, how you doing? You can count for comment. How you doing? There we go. Let's see if we can take up some of these comments here while I'm waiting for that stuff to stream over. Do you think that movies have become paced too fast and are too close up? Older films like John Ford, for example, could balance wide with the close-ups and feel a lot more immersive and grand. That's kind of a dual... there's larger factors at play with that question like that. I mean, part of what we're seeing today, too, is sort of a switch in the way we view films. I think a lot of us see more movies at home than we watch in the theaters. And those kind of movies that are grand and have like super wide shots and stuff like that, those are really more geared for being seen in the theater, right? Like watching Lawrence of Arabia just works way better in the theater. Well, my download speed is really slow. It's like 2 megabits down, 1 megabit down. Something's congested on my end here. It's not just my nose, because my nose is a little congested too. What is going on here? All right, upload speed. How's my upload speed? Oh, I got my upload at 76, so that's weird. My download speed is like 8.84 megabits down, although my upload speed is like 60 megabits up. So I think, that's interesting. Anyhow, let's see if we can finally get that thing to play. Here we go. I think this is it. What's going on here? Hold on. Back it up. What the heck happened there?
If you're targeting canvas,
Go
we
back.
think Flutter can offer you some
All right.
really useful primitives
I'm
like
just
widgets and
my player all of a sudden.
and a
Can you
great
hear
example
that?
of this
Like browser
is
like
Rive.
talking about something?
Rive is
All right,
rapid
turn that off. All right. Yeah, my browser is starting
targeting Flutter
going crazy
or
here.
another platform.
What the heck is going on?
Rive, the editor itself, is
There,
written
let's
in
pull
Flutter
up.
on the web. And
There,
Flutter is
see?
one of the first
That is
things
weird.
built with the web.
This stream's a mess, guys.
Absolutely
Absolute disgusting mess. Unbelievable. Unwatchable, people. How dare you, John? How dare you? This is awful. Oh, let's try that again. It's my 6 megabits, 0.6 megabits down. See if we actually get some streaming. We can't do it. It's not going to happen. This is sad. A sad day in streaming technology. This is awful. How can you guys watch this? This is nasty. Excuse me. Sorry, coughing. There it goes. Okay, finally. All right, back it up. Back that stuff. Ah! There it is. So that's the logo. That's the graphic work that I did for the Chamber of Commerce. The best is yet to come. Champagne reception, silent auction, award ceremony, after party. That's thanks via Artlist. I finally got one of the Artlist graphics package. So that's the logo that I came up with. Cool. That's it. All that effort to show you a 30-second little ad. Isn't that insane? All right, go away. Stop the music. Stop it. Everything. Stop. Back to me. Only me. Oh my gosh. What the heck is going on here? Oh, let's stop the video. Stop. Stop it. Stop. Stop the corn something duds or whatever. Let's see. Hey, get it together, John. I know. What the hell? Stop the corn, dudes, duds. Remember, there are no accidents, only happy accidents, as Bob Ross taught us. That's what they said about Hunter Biden. All right. What sort of channel is this? Why haven't I heard of it before? It's weirdly good. It's terrible. No, it's awful. It's unbelievable, unwatchable. It's so bad. Have I tried DaVinci Resolve? Yes, I have. I've got some thoughts about DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is fine if you don't like editing. No, just kidding. I've heard more than one people say that. You know, look, if you can make DaVinci Resolve work for your workflow as far as editing, have at it. Go knock yourself out. It's an awesome tool. It is bar none the best thing for, like, if you want to do some serious color grading, then DaVinci Resolve is totally the thing to go. But good God, don't even come at me trying to say, you really need to get off of Adobe train, because screw that. Like, if Adobe works great for me. Here's the thing. My livelihood depends on Adobe working. If I cannot work in Adobe, then I basically have to stop all my income and stop all my progress on any other projects I work on. I do not have the option of essentially cutting away from Adobe, and frankly, I don't want to, because you should see the project for my After Effects project, because I've got this video I'm producing 11 little short videos of all the nominees. There's graphics upon graphics, flying stuff. There's lens flares. There's lots more lens flares where that came from. Tons of lens flares, man. It is a lot of lens flares. And then there's hundreds of logos. I've had them split, coming in, splitting. I've got text. I've got photos of the board members. I've got photos of the citizens. And they're all doing this, and they're all doing this, and they're all mixing together. And I'm using this product for this thing. And then you don't even try to tell me, oh, but you could just switch over to, I don't know, what does DaVinci Resolve have as far as, what is it, Fusion Light or something like that, whatever. Like, don't even tell me, oh, switch over to Switch over to Apple's Motion. You're surprised how much more powerful. Like, no, it's not. It's not After Effects. It's not even close. So, yeah, Adobe Works just makes you money in the story. Plus, it was pretty pro looking. Of course, it's pro looking. I'm a pro. I think what sets me apart from other video producers is like I'm a motion graphics artist in I'm not like as good as some of the guys I see on like Red Giant. Like those guys are just blow me away. Even when I go on I get a lot of templates from Envato elements.envato.com. Envato, if you go there, it's like, Video Hive and all those. Like I liberally use stuff from that, because why rebuild everything? Do what you can. Like take templates, take pre-made stuff, and then jigger it, and then rebuild it, and then deconstruct it, and then reconstruct it, and that's how you make good stuff. You don't have to recreate. I don't have to draw a Art Deco background. I don't even need to take a photo of this fake LA thing. Like that's not the point. Am I trained on Adobe? No, I'm self-taught. Well, so I've been literally doing this for 22 or 23 years. And I learn some stuff about Adobe every time I teach. And I do teach Adobe, although I'm not very good at teaching it. I feel like I need to get better at teaching software. Teaching software is not my preferred thing to teach. I like to teach concepts. I don't like to teach software. To me, because software is partly because I have a philosophy in a sense that I think the only way to learn software is to mess around with it. But there are things I can teach you about the software that'll make messing around with it much more productive. Let's put it that way. I hated Adobe for the subscription BS, but fortunately and unfortunately, I never have to do it after college. So again, I've done this on stream many times. I did the math, and I found out that my subscription cost for Adobe was essentially the same as if I before the subscription. Because the problem is, if you're a professional and you're like trying to keep up with Adobe's update schedule, you're paying, instead of paying I'm thinking about $60 a month now. I mean, apparently you can go on Adobe and just say cancel it, and then they'll say, why do you want to cancel it? Well, it's too expensive, and then they'll offer it for you half the price. So you can do that. I mean, I haven't tried that. I should try it, but I discovered that. So basically, for all those that don't know, when it was a perpetual license kind of a thing, it was such an aggravating experience. I think the rollout schedule was about 18 months. So every 18 months, they'd basically flood the marketing channels with, look at all the new things we have in the version CS 6.5. Or it was like, I think 18 months was a half release, and then every 36 months, so about 2 years or 3 years, was a full release. So like it'd be like CS 5.5, then 6, then 6.5, then 6.5, 7, stuff like that, right? But you guys don't realize how aggravating, when that time came, to sit there and think, should I upgrade or should I just hold on to this for a little bit longer? And then every single time, I would wait like 2 or 3 months, and I would freaking upgrade anyway. And then those upgrades would be like $700. So it'd be like every 18 months, it'd be $700 out of your pocket. Now, if you do the math, $700 divided by, well, it wasn't 18. It was probably 12 to 18. So that works out to be about $40 a month if you figure it out that way, if you upgraded like regularly. And now it's just a matter of, don't upgrade because it might screw up the project you're working on. But the new features, at least you're always constantly going to get them. So that's where I am with the upgrade process. Well, Adobe keeps crashing all the time. It's slow, has no built-in effects, it's complicated to learn. It's not complicated to learn. So I discovered the reason why part of the reason why Adobe crashes all the time is because because you're feeding it unstable footage. So I mean, I do have this issue. I do have it does crash unless I feed it footage that it likes. So part of the trick with getting rid of the crashes is to make proxies. Make proxies whenever you're dealing with any kind of compressed weird footage. Just proxy it. Totally, it's way easier. It has no built-in effects. Just true. I mean, because Premiere itself is not really. Premiere itself is kind of more of a cutting tool. You're not, most people don't cut. Like most people don't use any of the Premiere's funkier page peel or those stupid effects. It's mostly dissolve. Dissolve and cut are the two transitions. As far as the effects themselves, I mean, that's when you throw into After Effects. Like After Effects is kind of the sweetener. That's where you do all your fancy stuff. And then on top of that, there are just some necessary plugins to buy. I'm a subscriber to Red Giant. I don't like Red Giant. I have Red Giant Complete, I think. So I've got the whole package. And that includes some Universe, which is really useful. There are a few Premiere transition stuff you can get on Envato for like $70. Some really cool transitions if you want that more like videography YouTuber. Sorry, I've got a little bit of cough still. And so that's useful. And then in my After Effects, I also have it decked out with certain plugins that I buy too. So YouTube is refusing to give you notification about the streams. Well, you got here, so. Why do we need to upgrade those CS6? Not really. The problem with CS6 was, I mean, it's the architecture of CS6 worked fine if you're still shooting like DV. I think there was things to upgrade. So there are like a couple features that people are not should be shouting to the hills, but they're not. Adobe's transcription tool is amazing. Like it has gone leaps and bounds. So back in the day, like way back in CS 5-6 days, there was a transcriber tool. It kind of sucked, realistically. Then I got to the point where I actually spent like $300 for a transcribing software / service. So it was like $300, and then you would pay like 10 cents like a machine hour or whatever it was to transcribe. That has been completely that business is dead now because Adobe's modern transcribing tool is very, very good. Like, so what I would do was I haven't done like a talking head documentary in a long time, which, I don't love doing them, but it is what it is. But Adobe's transcribe tool, so what you can do is you put the footage in, you hit the transcribe timeline, and it will do right out the timeline. The beauty of that is the timeline then is synced with the footage, with the timeline, or the transcript is synced with the timeline. So here's the thing. I can now watch the interview at double speed while reading the transcript. And it is, for my brain, it is way easier because I can't stand sitting. You watch the footage. You might watch it once in normal speed, but I've got a lot of projects, so I got to watch things I got to turn things around quickly. So watching an interview at double speed with the transcript and reading it while you're hearing it is so much. I can comprehend it so much better than just listening to it in double speed because I can't mentally capture it. But if I'm reading it and I'm hearing it, it's like it's all the best. So that tool in itself is like that's the latest edition. That's relatively new. I don't know how many versions back it was. Another useful tool, and I don't use it that much, but I find it useful for my students, is the auto remix tool as far as the music. So basically, you put a music track in there, and with the remix tool, you basically drag the music bed to as long as you want or as short as you want. I think 30 seconds is the minimum it can take. But it will, if you go like take a 2-minute track and you drag it out to like 7 minutes, it will remix the track automatically and get it to 7 minutes. And it's not bad. Well, it's actually great. It's actually really good. Could you do it better if you did it manually? Sure, Absolutely. You could manually is always better because then you can control where the highs and lows are. You can control, certain things artistically better. But if you're just, if you just want to slap something together real quickly, it's a really cool tool. So those are two of the more recent things in Adobe. I'm a big fan of the essential graphics because I have a lot of After Effects knowledge. I create essentially graphic templates. So I'll create a graphic template in Adobe After Effects, and then I'll be able to utilize that template to make, like if I do lower thirds for a show, or any kind of graphic, the integration is already there. It's already built in. So I can create the lower third in After Effects, have all the swooshing and cool stuff flying and everything. Then I can go into Premiere now, and I can just drop that over, and I can just change the text to anything I want. So I use Adobe just a ton of integration, and none of that stuff is available with Resolve, like none of it. So that's why for me, it's laughable for me to try to say, "Oh, just switch over to Resolve." No, like I am so embedded in that After Effects Premiere workflow, that it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Now, if you want to color grade in Resolve, and I've done that on a couple things, if I want to do a serious color grade and do a serious work with the footage in a more color intensive way, then Resolve makes perfect sense. Resolve obviously makes but you can just export it as an XML and bring it over there. You can round trip it. It's very easy. Do I prefer the look of 16 millimeter or 8 millimeter? I prefer the look of 16 millimeter. I'm not a big fan of jacking your footage, of crippling your footage. Look, 8 millimeter has its look, right? But I'm not the guy that's going to go out there and get a VHS camera to shoot a VHS look. I'd rather have my stuff look great. Your favorite movie cleaned up last week? Yes, you did. Got everything, everywhere, and all at once. To be fair, though, I think also the playing field was not very full of competition. It just wasn't. Like that movie, I don't think anybody thought, when they released it back in April of last year, I don't think anybody thought that was going to sweep the Oscars. Or they would have released it in Oscar season. But yep. The question is, how can you maximize your creative time and let Adobe handle the technical magic? Exactly. I mean, it is a give and take too, right? Because as there's this the old-fashioned way of thinking about left brain, right brain kind of thing, right? Left brain is supposed to be creative, and right brain is supposed to be technical. Although I don't know which is which. That's not true. It's both. They're both working. So part of being creative is being technical, and part of being technical is being creative. So that they're all, how do I make this graphic work inside of After Effects? My brain is already thinking how the layers interact, what layer needs to be on top of the next layer, what effects can I use. And in many ways, when I do a project like that chamber video, that awards video, I think of it almost like jazz. I lay down my music track, I lay down my voiceover, and I'm thinking, how do I improvise over this visually? And I have I've developed over the years certain kind of motifs and licks that I play. I know a certain kind of lens flare. If I glint the lens flare on an edge of something, that'll create a certain look. If I put a little the plugin called Deep Glow, if I put that, it'll kind of create a little soft halo around certain things. So I do a lot of, there's a lot of John Hess stylisms in my video production, in my motion graphics. I try to break out of it. Sometimes I get into a creative rut and try not to stay there. But anyhow, I have been trying hard not to mess around with short videos and focus on feature-length screenplay instead. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Let's see. Thoughts on the S5 II. What's the S5 II? Is that a Sony? Or what is it? I don't even know. I have no thoughts. Let's look it up. Let's Google it. S5 II. Oh, the Lumix. I'm not a big fan of Panasonic. Just as a general statement. I've never been in I haven't ever considered Lumix as part of my camera decision making. Just not my thing. I just never loved it. So, out of curiosity, is the effect of a big budget VFX still use Adobe or something else? They use, so Adobe After Effects is huge in the VFX industry, as I understand. It is not the primary use in VFX. I believe it's what's the name? It's the one by Autodesk, Flame. I think Flame or what's the other one called? Nuke. But if you wanted to buy Nuke, you're gonna have to take a mortgage on your house. Like Nuke is not a let's say indie friendly purchase. It is a definitely a corporate purchase. I want to say what is okay? We gotta find it out. What is the cost of Nuke? Nuke Autodesk. And now look, to be fair, I mean that's the price I'm going to quote if my internet ever fills up here. Jesus, this thing is so slow today. I want to say it's like in the range of like $100,000, something like that. It's pretty crazy. So it's not for mortals to find. So Nuke is the one that if you wanted to work in the big VFX houses, that's what you would learn. But yeah. Yeah, the guy who did. I'm not saying Panasonic is a bad camera. Don't get me wrong. I'm just they're. People have their own. People have their flavors, and Panasonic's just not my flavor. I'm out for a drive and listening. I prefer Adobe Hyperintuitive. That said, I used Resolve recently. It's fine. The audio editing is very robust. Yeah, I agree. Although I've been doing a lot with track audio. Like I've been deep into audio recently. I've been teaching like a lot of. I try to teach audio. I should probably do an audio video. Just like I want to go back and do decibels and all that stuff. But I've been teaching a lot about dynamics and compression and stuff like that with my class. I don't know how much of it's sinking in, if any, because I feel like they just listen and they nod and like, yeah, that makes sense. 20 decibels, it's when they're going to apply a compression ratio, and then we make it up. Okay, that makes sense, but it's not. I'm not seeing them actually use it or doing it proper. All right, let's take a look. Autodesk. See if this thing ever loads up. Anybody from Nova Scotia? Ask that question. Nuke, like Maya, is free for educational. Yeah, I think you can only go so far with it. As far as like if like I had Autodesk software for a long time under the educational license. Although now I have a college email, so I have access to all the software legally for free because I'm an educator. Of course, I got to use it for education. Am I doing it right? Avid versus Adobe Premiere Pro. Which one has brighter future among editors right now? Avid is still the king of Hollywood. Like all the professional Hollywood productions all use Avid. You should know Avid if you want to go work for a TV show, if you want to go work for a movie in LA as an editor, and you said I don't know anything about Avid, you'd be kicked out. Like no, you need to know Avid. If you want to work on a network show, like as far as I understand, Avid is really king as far as media management for those big shows, and working with multiple editors and stuff like that. Avid's a much better platform. But if you wanted to work in corporate world, Adobe Premiere is definitely up there. I'd say Adobe Premiere and DaVinci Resolve are worth learning. I think DaVinci Resolve is starting to make some inroads, but Premiere is still quite common in the corporate world, and just anything outside of network Hollywood indie world too. And don't forget, the Oscar-winning movie was edited on Adobe Premiere. I actually met I didn't meet personally, but I saw the editor of Everything Everywhere All at Once talk at the Adobe booth last NAB. He was giving a speech about how they edited the program. And it was interesting how I guess, according to his story was, he would take a pass on a fight sequence, and they would hand it off to one of the Daniel brothers. Not they're not brothers. One of the Daniels, and one of the Daniels would edit his version of this fight scene, and then the other Daniel would take a pass at editing, and they would all just trade this project file amongst themselves, and they would all create different cuts, and they would kind of pull idea from this one, so it was the project file was being bounced around between all the different editors, but they were able to do that because everyone had Adobe because they all have Adobe subscriptions. My internet is not Maya software. There it is. There we go. All right, so Maya, if you wanted to buy it, is you could buy a 3-year subscription for $5,300. That's cool, but I want to see what Nuke costs. Let's go to media entertainment collection. No, I don't want to see that. I want to see all products. All right, here we go. We're getting exciting here. This is what you tune into to watch weirdly terrible stuff. All right, where's Nuke? Come on, Fusion 360. There's Mudbox. There's NetFab. That's not what I want. I want Nuke. All right, I'm not seeing it. Let's see. Media entertainment, film and VFX. There we go. Flame is $4,600 per year. I don't see Nuke in here. That's weird. Why don't I see Nuke? Oh well. Is that a different name or something? Or is it all under Flame? Is that the... I don't know. Oh, here we go. Oh, Flame. Ignite every story. It's only $13,900 if you buy it for 3 years. That's nothing. The Daniels did an interview with Script Notes podcast. Cool. Check that out. It's a shout out to that. Hey, John, if you wanted to review a critique a project, just email me a link on Filmmaker IQ and just let me know. Tell me that's if you want me to do the live review. The next one's going to be a really cool little project. It's like a 2-minute work in progress, like an existential horror. And I think I'll spend more of my time talking about what he's doing right and good than actually critiquing it, because it's really pretty good. So I don't have a whole lot to talk about it. Nuke is $10,000 perpetual. That sounds about right. That ain't cheap software. Not cheap at all. So I mean, compared to it puts Adobe's subscription kind of in perspective, really. I've been out of the creative field for a long, so I have to ask the question: if it is the carpenter, not the tools, that make a good woodwork, why do there so many editing softwares? Why some like Sony? Like, why do we have so many editing softwares? It's the same reason we have so many different manufacturers of woodworking tools. Like everybody, like there's DeWalt, and then there's what's that, the Kiwata or whatever. And there's, like Craftsman tools, different tools. So that's why we have different softwares for editing. They all do the same thing, essentially. Yeah, wink, wink. Wink, wink, smile. Milwaukee. Ah, yes, Milwaukee tools. Or Chicago Electric, which is Harbor Freight's cheap brand. I like Harbor Freight. Because the fact of the matter is, I'm not a woodworker, and I don't need my tools to be that great. I would like them to be cheap, though. So what old saying was, always buy this, when you first start out, buy the second cheapest thing, and then, after a while, then you would upgrade and buy the best stuff. Yeah, hardware store is like a candy store for me. I used to go through, I was in Home Depot today trying to buy keys. But I used to go through Home Depot and just kind of treat it like oh, what can I build here? What can I build? So, Adobe used Sony Movie Maker. I liked it. It's probably better than I knew. What about remember Pinnacle Studios? That was what I used for a while before I finally got a version of Adobe Premiere 5.5. I think it was 5.5 when I first. No, 5.5 was the first one I bought. So it would have been like Premiere 3 or 4 when I first got a version off of Captain Sparrow's Emporium. Captain Jack's Emporium. You know what I'm talking about. Why is Avid so unintuitive and clunky? Oh, it's because they own the market. That's why. They don't need to change. But why even Sony would not touch Sony Vegas? I think Sony has sort of I mean, that whole Vegas line is they sort of just given up on it. It's like, it's there if you want to buy it, if you want to keep using it. What's the best way to learn After Effects? Oh, thank you, Dimitri. Super chat. Sorry, you got bumped for super chat. Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you so much. Welcome to the chat. What's the best way to practice and get better with After Effects? It's a good question. So the way I learned After Effects was a book by Chris and Trish Myers. I recommend this book wholeheartedly. It's called After Effects in Production. I learned that this book was 20 years old, so 20 years ago. So obviously you don't want to buy the version I bought. But the way that book was laid out was essentially like 12 different projects. And you would sit there and you would go through every single project. The first project was, okay, we have a client and they want to do an ad and they want this little dancing carrot to show up in the picture and then go away. And so this book would literally walk you through every step. And here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you guys this. People think I'm crazy when I say this, but professionals that do this are professionals, and the people that don't do this are barely scratching for the heavens. They're lost souls yearning to be free, creatively free. Here's the secret. All right, you're going to hear it here. All like 20 people on here, right? You ready for this? Here it is. All 28 of you. Learn hotkeys. Learn hotkeys. Learn hotkeys. Learn your hotkeys. Believe me, you will be such a better editor, artist, whatever, if you're not hunting and picking for menus and buttons and hotkeys. 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 I am not kidding. In fact, I had a friend who worked at Fox. Invited me, like, this is the first time I got to the Fox lot. I've been, like, all the people that I know, I've been invited to the Fox lot, like, at least 6 or 7 times. The first guy that invited me was an editor that worked for the Fox. And he was an old Avid pro. Total Avid pro. And he didn't even touch the mouse. The whole thing was done on keyboard. And he was like, that's how I look. That's how you get really good at really fast. Because you don't need to sit there and like, no, hotkey. Poof. Like when I edit Premiere Pro, and I'm not unique for me or anything. Here's a keyboard, right? Do I use a Steam Deck? No, I don't. But hotkeys work. Hotkeys, I mean, if you can get a Steam Deck to work for you, and that's essentially hotkeys, right? If you can get hotkeys, I mean, Steam Deck and hotkeys are the same thing. The reason why I don't like hotkeys is it's another thing on my desk. It's like, the reason I haven't used a Stream Deck. I've tried other they one time they sold an app on your iPad, so you can have your iPad open and then you could just use that iPad as a hotkey. But seriously, hotkeys on the keyboard are better. So, keyboard, right? When I'm editing, mouse on the right hand. I still use my mice. Mouse on the right hand to do your mouse business. Then left finger pinky on the control button, and the right finger on the Control Z. You know what Control Z is, right? The most useful thing since in digital media of all time. Control Z is undo. God, I use undo so much because you just try something, undo. Try something, undo. Undo right at your fingertips. Thumb on spacebar, push play, right there. Okay, so you got that. Easy access to Control C, Control X, and Control V. Control C, copy, cut, and paste, right? Those are really useful. I bought this. So Andrew Kramer made. If you guys know Andrew Kramer, some of you guys mentioned him. He made this thing. I forget what it's called for After Effects. Basically, if you can hit Control Spacebar, it pulls up a menu, and then you can type whatever you want and pull whatever effect you want. I forget the name of the dang thing. But anyhow, this other company called Knights of the Editing Table made a version of that for Premiere. So I use that Control Spacebar. I can pull up any effect and type in whatever I want. What else you can do? Newest thing. Oh, C is just the letter C by itself is the cut. V is the cursor. So a lot of the tools are right there on your left hand. You can just boom, 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 right there on your left hand. Right hand controls the mouse. Really easy to do. You can get super fast. And when I'm editing at a full pace, and I'm like going, it's like playing a piano. It's like how much my left and right hand are both moving at the same time. I'm not sitting there hunting through menus and clicking. No, I'm dragging. Hit C for cut. Hit V to drag it over. Q and W are interesting. Are new tools I learned for Premiere. Q basically takes whatever your cursor is at and makes that the beginning of the video clip. So like I'll watch an interview and I'll see where I want to start the clip. Hit Q, and it basically takes that point and moves it to the front. Moves it to the front. W is the opposite. It takes the end point and makes that the end point. So anyhow, tons of stuff you can do. You could just wait for Adobe to crash. I work so fast that sometimes, Adobe has to catch up with me. This is what I'm talking about. When Adobe crashes because you're feeding. Basically, Adobe crashes because you're having trouble with the media. It's not really Adobe's problem. It's the way your computer is handling the media. So oftentimes it's because the footage is like H.265 or some sort of AVC flavor that the computer doesn't quite like, and you're moving fast, and that causes Adobe to crash. But if you just if Adobe's just got ProRes footage, very rarely crashes. Very rarely crashes. But anyhow, sorry, my nose is starting to go. Let me blow my nose. See if I have paper. Yeah, let me blow my nose and we'll be right back. Excuse me. Just use Media Composer. There you go. That's all you gotta do. Just use Media Composer. But yeah, and then the other trick I got when I was doing those Filmmaker IQ videos, like full on crazy, I had a mouse that had, I still have a mouse that had 12 buttons on the side, like one of those gaming mice. So I programmed the gaming mice to certain key points. Like, so in After Effects, the open bracket and close bracket move your footage around. The IO takes the cursor to the beginning or the out of the of your clip. So I programmed all those things into my mouse. So I would sit there like boom, 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 boom with my thumb, and then on my left hand I'd be doing all kinds of stuff. So yeah, definitely hotkeys. Like people, I tell this to people, I tell this to my students, learn your hotkeys, and they don't listen. They do not listen. They do not listen. And I tell people, hotkeys. Have I ever used an old school video editing console like a linear editing? When I first started at my internship at the cable company, they had me do the linear editing side. So I would basically have to roll back, the video with a little jog wheel to find the frame, do the in point, and then roll to the next one, find the out point, and then hit the record button so it would run the tapes and record it. Yeah, it was awful. Awful, awful, awful. There we go. I use 3 programs depending on what I have to do. First, Adobe Premiere, then CyberLink Power Director, and finally DaVinci Resolve. With my PC, Adobe don't crash. Well, that's cool. Yep, and I have a hard drive for cache files, a drive for footage, and a separate render drive. Stops a lot of crashing. Yeah. So unfortunately, my PC over there has way too many hard drives connected to it. I need to pare it down a little bit. But I do have a dedicated cache drive. I think I got a couple of them. Like I haven't decided which one I utilize all the time. But yeah, cache drive. Again, it part of the problem is people try to edit with H.265. Like H.264 is pretty safe. Like it's pretty stable, especially small ones. But man, the H.265 and the like. I have a camera. My Canon XC15's 4K files are brutal on my computer, my Premiere. It just, especially if I have multiple streams of it, because I do a multicam with when I have those cameras. It's very rarely just one single stream. It's like 4 streams going. I have to convert that, or otherwise I'm just in pain. The C70's camera is not bad. Like, yeah, the RAW, ugh, no way, you can't do it. So I'm on PC. I'm not no Apple. I've been PC for all my life, partly because it's almost my dad's. It's almost our family motto not to be involved with Apple. Basically, we did not like the closed environment of Apple. So always been PC. Even my dad, like, if you guys know what you remember back in the Apple II era, Apple IIe era, my dad bought a Franklin clone. That's how much we were against like being shills for Apple. We bought a Franklin computer, and that was my first computer. Was a Franklin. Anytime you need to learn new software, step 1, print out the hotkey cheat sheet, tape it to your wall. There you go. Good advice. What do you think about the phrase "shoot like you edit"? Yes, I think to be a better shooter, you should know how to edit. Like, I think the worst part is people that shoot that don't have. You always should shoot for the edit, right? So part of that is, like, if you're getting B-roll of something, don't get just one angle of it. Get multiple angles, because if you think about how you're going to edit it, I always think about how I'm going to edit. It may not just be. I may want more than one angle of the B-roll so I can have some variety to cover up the interview process or whatever I'm shooting. So editing, I'm always thinking in terms of like, okay, what do I need to provide myself? What raw materials do I need to give myself in the future for the edit? Versus just go out and spray. The other part of it too is I don't want to give myself so much raw material later on that I'm going to be sitting there looking through a bunch of footage. So on the flip side, don't overdo it, and don't drown yourself in footage at the end of the edit too. So I like, especially, as a one-man band for myself, to know what where you're going for at the end, it's really crucial to how you shoot. Basically, it's not just one way or the other. What is the most important art of editing? What is the most useful technique? I find that when you're editing, it's flow and rhythm are what you're trying to accomplish. And like I was editing, I was showing the students in my class. I edited a little piece with my friend Thurman talking about how to become a background actor. I just asked him, like, yeah, can you do? I want to do a 3-minute ending. The interview had to be 3 minutes long. The finished piece was 3 minutes long. Just tell me what it's like to get into editing. And so I was showing the students how when you edit an interview, you want to get rid of those ums and ahs, like get rid of that part. So you basically cut out sections to keep that the direction of the statement, because when people talk, they don't always deliver clear, clean sentences, especially when they're talking off the top of their head, as I'm doing right now. So you want to get rid of those little pauses and little breaks. I demonstrated that in the video, in the critique, of the first critique I did. So one of the students chimed in, was like, well, I like to leave that in because it's natural. Well, yeah. I mean, you can leave it in if you want it to be natural, if you want to be like a podcast. If you want to polish it, you want to make it look, slick and all that stuff, you got to start taking those things away. You got to think in terms of like rhythm and motion. So, there's internal rhythm in speech. There's internal rhythm in the way we talk and the way stories go. You want to try to dial in on those things. And that's how, you can use the edit. You can use music. You can use all kinds of things to kind of get there. And that translates also to narrative too, right? Like a performance you get to follow the flow of the energy of the performance you know, you can mess up a performance by cutting terribly. You can also create a better performance by controlling that energy, the movement of the performance. That's why a lot of people say, the editor is the guy that makes the performance happen, performance happens in the edit sometimes. So I think that's what it is. The art of editing is really finding the flow and making the flow work. Do you remember those Apple commercials, Justin Long? Absolutely. I always identified as the fat PC guy. Yeah, me too. Do you have any edit in camera like old Hollywood directors used to do, so that editors and producers have very few ways of tampering with the footage? I am fond of long takes. I'm fond of master shots. If I'm doing like I really don't like what I call ping pong editing, where you just you sit an actor on one side and you sit an actor on the other side, and you do, okay, now we're going to shoot Joe's angle, and now we're going to shoot Heather's angle, and that's all. And then we're just going to cut between the two. I hate that, honestly. I mean, in places where a lot of places it's necessary. A lot of places it just works better when you have a ping pong editing, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Sure, to me though, I find that boring. So when I can, I like to direct something that moves, that blocks, that takes you from here to here to here to here. I love that. That's my preference, is to do that kind of thing. I just hate in movies, sometimes in movies you can do it but you can mask that and sort of bring the characters to a situation where now they're sitting back and now they're going to do that back and forth, back and forth. But to me, you need to move the things around. I like those kind of things. As far as shooting in camera, here's my advice to anybody: never sacrifice the quality of the production for a principle. Principles are the principle of, I'm not going to shoot VFX. I'm not going to sacrifice that. I want the ultimate goal always is it has to look good. I don't care how you achieve it. It doesn't matter to me how you achieve it, as long as it looks cool. That's all that matters. So, all right, what else do we get here? What's your favorite Magic Mike movie? All of them. I love me Magic Mike so much that I'm still a Magic Mike virgin. I love that character so much, so hardcore. I'm such a hardcore Magic. I'm saving myself for, I want to wait till the entire saga is through, and once the entire saga is through, then I will open myself and my heart and allow Magic Mike to embrace me with his strong arms, and then I will finally watch those movies. But until the saga is complete, I cannot bring myself to break the love I have for Magic Mike. I am so in love with Magic Mike that I have not seen a single movie. What's my favorite cut in film history? Well, everyone likes that Lawrence of Arabia one where he blows out the match. But I think my favorite so far right now is, if you watch the movie, if I could pull it up, I would show you. If you watch the movie House of Gaga, House of Gaga, let's see if I can type this thing. No, I can't. House of Gaga has the best film transition, where Jared Leto, he plays the brother of Gaga, the terrible, awful brother that can't do anything right. So he's holding this fashion show, and he just got a letter for a cease and desist from using the Gucci name. House of Gaga. Did I say House of Gaga? I meant House of Gucci. Ugh. So he's dejected. His wife, he's walking down the catwalk and nobody's there. He's like, "Oh, I did this wrong." And he has this terrible Italian accent. Sounds like something from Mario Brothers. "I made a mistake with this Gucci thing." And he's looking at his wife, and he opens his mouth, and you hear a car honking horn, and then it cuts to the next scene where it was a car driving. Best cut ever. I think it's one of the most memorable. Hey, Daniel, how you doing? Saldivar from San Antonio. Yeah, Jack's shot reverse shot is so boring. Yeah. There is a video game that basically allows you to produce a set shot for pre-production. That's that one guy. I think I'm not a big fan of that. I'll tell you why. Because you're in there. The name escapes me as well. But here's the thing: reality does not work with the same game physics that that game has. Like, the game, the thing I don't like about that game is, even though it has a lot of real world like lights and stuff like that, you can't model the real world based or the real in order to model the real world, you would need the real world represented in that game. So like if I shot in my kitchen, like, oh, I could go in the game and like, okay, put this big giant, this soft Kino flow over here, put this one, I get an idea for what the lighting, but then you get on set and realize I've got a window over there and it's got natural light letting in, or my Kino, this thing won't fit in here because, it's too tall or whatever it is. Like it's kind of like, it's like a fantasy version of pre-production. Like you think you're making pre-production, but it doesn't take the place of like experience and just getting there and fitzing and fiddling about with the lighting. When's the next studio's coming out? I don't know when. It'll be a while because I honestly just haven't had time to. I want to do other things first, and those videos are just so much work that I should go back and make some because they still grow. Like they're still getting views. Not this month. All my frame rate videos have stopped getting play. So I should probably go back to talk about frame rate some more, right? But they take a lot of work. But if I can get my works a little bit more balanced, I can go back and try to tackle another studio. I skipped a. Oh yeah, rip Lance Reddick. I love Lance Reddick. He was in the next, but to me, Lance Reddick, Bosch was one of the movies I like. Like Lance Reddick and Bosch was such a cliche role in that show, but I really loved him in that movie. What I think of Whale, I never saw The Whale. I'm a little bit afraid of watching The Whale because I have a weight problem. I do. Although I did go to the gym today. I got some serious swole arms today to show for it. My half brother was in the range of 500 some pounds or something like that. My family, my dad's family does have weight problems, so it's a little touchy subject for me. But yeah, I'm sure it's a great performance, and I'm sure Brendan Fraser deserves it for coming back. I just don't know if I could take, like, I can't watch my 600-pound lifer, those shows. I can't even watch Hoarders. Like that show, like, physically repulses me, and like I can watch like one episode, and then like feel sick after that. Another video on frame rates. I promise though, I try not to cover the same topic twice. So the next video on frame rates will actually be more about biology than frame rates themselves. Yeah, I heard about the first scene is whack. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, Bosch is my favorite cop show. Agreed. Let's see. Panic Room, some good software. If you got Unreal Engine, you can do a lot with Previs these days with Unreal Engine. Sure, why not? Previs is Previs, right? The idea of Previs is just to show you what my idea is. People say, like, it's like taking a storyboard, just drawing stick figures. It's fine. It doesn't need to be great. No one's going to see it other than your production crew, just so you get the idea across. That's the point. So, for everything else is just gravy on top of that. I watched Hoarders and thought, whoa, at least I'm not that bad. The problem is, though, like, I'm not that bad, sure. But I recognize it. I recognize it. Ever suffered from editor's writer block when your brain refuses to make anything that's not basic and a very straightforward edit? Yeah, I suffer from writer's block, is editing block essentially, when it's like I don't know how to tell the story. Like sometimes, when I'll give you an example, weddings. I've shot and edited about, I think I'm up to six weddings now in my life. My whole career is only 6 weddings. I don't chase the wedding thing. It's not my thing. Although I can't, if people ask me to do it, I will do it. 6 times I have done it. So, but weddings are like, how do you approach it? So for me, I've discovered that I have to have a game plan. When I'm creating an edit, I have to have a game plan. And part of that is I have to have in my head what the story is going to be. And it's not just weddings too. Like talk about like talking head interviews. What's the game plan? How are you going to start this thing? What do you like? What's the fun and games? The old, if you remember from Save the Cat, there's a section in Save the Cat, a movie called Fun and Games, where you have like an intro. You start with an intro, you like an opening statement, and then you might have a section where it's called Fun and Games, where it's just like fun stuff. Or that's not necessarily stuff that's driving the point home, but fillers, not necessarily filler, but it's entertaining, it engages the audience and all that stuff. There's the fun and games, and then your closer, right? It's more complicated than that, obviously. But you have to have a game plan when you make an edit, when you're going through it. And part of that is, that's where the writer's block can come in. Like, how do I, in this wedding, what do I cut to? Like, I've got all this footage. Like, what do I do with it? And part of it is, okay, come with a game plan. I want to start with this track. I'm going to go to this track. Then I'm going to show this part, this section. Then I'm going to go to this section here with the first man speeches. Then I'm going to show some dancing, and I'm going to show the end. Have a game plan, and then you can start fitting things into. For me, at least, like if you watched my videos on like the histories of the studio's videos, I do something that is a little different than the documentaries I watch. Like I break stuff into chapters. Like for me, when I edit stuff, it makes a lot more sense to talk about a chapter. Like I can tell you a story in this chapter, and then the next story is a chapter. I find that when I watch a lot of documentaries, I don't watch a lot of documentaries. I watch documentaries. I'll give you an example. There's that documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor? I thought that was a great documentary. For about half of it was really good. And then it started getting meandering to me because I feel like we lost the story. Like they wanted to insert all these little things in there, and it just becomes sort of a scatter shot. Like for my personal taste, the documentaries should have like a direction. And some movies just tend to like they start off with a really great direction, then and then story. And all the stories maybe have emotional impacts. They all might be really well filmed and well edited and all that, but unless they have like a through line, it doesn't work for me. And that's my personal taste. I mean, that documentary is beloved, but that's just for me. It's got to have that driving through line. Sorry, my throat is dry, and I'm having weird dry mouth issues, and I've been blowing my nose like crazy. Bosch managed to feature a teenage girl character who was not horribly annoying. That's an accomplishment. Bosch also, we're talking about Bosch. It's on Amazon. If you haven't watched it, it's a good cop procedural show. Very good. But the cool thing about Bosch is that it encapsulates LA before the homeless pandemic, before the homeless issues. Like no other show invokes the look of modern day LA as good as Bosch. Like La La Land is like fantasy LA. Bosch felt like legitimately the way LA looked in my trips to LA. It had the vibe of LA down to a T. Now, if they were to do it modern days, they would just basically have homeless people throughout the whole show. That's how you would get modern LA. But LA in the early 2000s That's Bosch. Perfect to a T. Anyhow. Hey, Matthias, I saw a guy saying that the main reason he loves 4K Blu-ray is HDR. He says that HDR more than ever is, even the resolution increase truly makes a film pop in stunning detail. Partly that's true, but partly the HDR is this new color system called Rec 2020. Rec 2020 has just a wider gamut. And so there's a whole, but basically it's capable of more colors than Rec 709 and all that. Do I need to do a video on it? Sure, I absolutely do. Problem is, I only deliver Rec 709. There's nothing I do. I just don't have any use for it yet. None of my clients are saying, I need Rec 2020. It's just not on my radar. So it's just, that's why I haven't been doing it yet. Thoughts on high-end software, Nuke versus After Effects, Flame versus Premiere? If you can use it, I mean, are you guys, if you guys are affording, you can afford Nuke, knock yourself out. I can't, so I have no opinion on how to use Nuke. Have the same issue. I now use cards and lay them on the floor and move them around like jigsaw so I can plan the scenes for editing before the edit on the computer. Yeah, absolutely. Anything you can do to kind of visualize. Studio Binder is a great pre-production setting up a plan. Yeah, they were pretty good. I remember using some of their stuff, especially for pre-production. I did a whole video. I did a series of, I think it's still on Filmmaker IQ, like a series of written articles about how to do pre-production, because there's a pre-production of a movie. There's quite a bit, you know, talking about eighths of a page, like breaking the page down into eighths. You know, going through a pass, doing all the characters and doing all the props that you're going to need, locations and all that. You know, really break down a script is really, it's an interesting job, an interesting technique. I can't help, when I write a script, I can't help but think about those kind of things. Jonathan Demi's Stop Making Sense will return to theaters in 2023 with a newly restored 4K version via A24. I'm so stoked. It's my favorite concert film. I heard about that. A24 is on a roll, aren't they? That's like the studio that had the most awards ever. So you got to give it up. You know, the one studio that's willing to take a chance on stuff, it wins it all at the Oscars. That seems like a trend. If you're willing to take risks and do odd things and try different things, then you can also win awards. Interesting. From my understanding with DI, etc., 4K streaming and Blu-ray 4K use slightly better than HD 2K source. Yeah, I've heard that. You know, and slightly better than 2K is 2K is pretty good. People don't forget it. People forget that. You know, like your vision starts to go pretty fast after 2K. You know, you gotta be sitting pretty close to the screen in order to see that stuff. Video topic request: legal requirements for filmmaking. Trying to figure out the bare minimum for making a movie and still be able to exhibit it. Stuff like E&O, insurance, release forms, and all, etc. Bare minimum is really not much, you know. Honestly, and this is terrible legal advice, but here it is. Basically, make sure you have your releases for your talent. Make sure you have releases for your locations, and E&O insurance. You know, that's not necessarily an issue until you get to the distribution side of things. But if you just want to get to like a film festival, stuff like that, you're not going to need E&O insurance. I mean, realistically, you're not going to. Obviously, if you get to Sundance, stuff like that, maybe more so. But basically, talent release, location release, that's pretty much it. You know, the E&O insurance is really about distribution. And that's, now, when you can cross that road, I guess, when you get there. Although, you know, there are some issues if you can accidentally create issues if you don't clear certain things, and then you get to the E&O insurance part of it, and like, can't insure that because you're using that thing. Then you have to deal with that. But that's as much as I will say on that. 'Cause remember, I'm not a lawyer, although I do know legal stuff a little bit about legal stuff. But generally speaking, you know, legal matters are matters about where large sums of money are involved, And if you don't have a large sum of money involved, then it's not that much money. HDR is just 422. Well, don't knock 422. 422 is excellent. 422 is like high quality. Sure, you want 444, but 422 will get you everything, everywhere, everything you ever need. I was gonna say, I almost dropped the name of the movie. 422 is essentially all your eye will ever need, forever and ever and ever. 444 is important for graphics. 444 is important for doing processing, but 422 is all you ever need. Don't forget, like the reason why 422 works. Again, 422 is pretty high quality, but 420 like works fine too, because our eyes are not that color sensitive to color. Our eyes are actually more sensitive to luminance, not color. So, let's jump ahead to more comments here. All right, your eye cones are 422. I think your icons are probably in the neighborhood of like 411, really. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, it's questionable if you can tell the difference between 411 and 422. You probably could. But if you like really looked at the edges and stuff like that, you could probably tell the difference. But it's pretty darn close. Like you couldn't tell between 422 and 444. Probably not. Probably not better than half. Is there a movie or some feature shot and edited in 8K res? Do you think 8K display is necessary? I feel Maybelline we should. That's an interesting autocorrect. I feel Maybelline. Maybe she's born with it. We should focus on bit depth and sensory dynamic range. No. Zero and one. Look up Steve Yedlin. Steve Yedlin's. Go to Steve Yedlin's site. Yedlin. If you don't know who that is, he is the director that works with Rian Johnson. I know everyone on the internet hates Rian Johnson, but Yedlin's a great established film director of photography, ASC, all that jazz. He's got a very deep dive about why the whole resolution stuff is bunk, and I think most serious director of photography kind of all are on the same page. Resolution's not the issue. The issue is about color. Color reproduction, halation is the term they call, where you have like the edges have a little bit of a blur to them. There's a lot of other things. Don't forget Knives Out too. I know you guys don't like Star Wars. I like the Star Wars. They promised me in The Last Jedi. I felt like they promised me something, a new direction to go. But they did not deliver. They did not freaking deliver. It's awful. I mean, I liked Last Jedi. I was willing to forgive certain aspects of The Last Jedi for an attempt to be different and original. But the minute they made, spoiler alert, Rey a freaking Palpatine, is like, okay, this universe cannot exist outside of 3 people. And it's just so annoying. And like, I wanted Star Wars to be open and to be, hey, let's explore new civilizations, boldly go where no man has gone before. Damn it, no, we can't do that. We have to have the same family. It's the same damn thing. Last Jedi was the best looking one. I agree. That whole battle with the red clay earth thing, that was cool. It was visually interesting. You know, the whole the starship blowing up the Empire thing, that was amazing. I love that. I like the very end where the kid is the little mop and it's like a little Jedi thing. That was awesome. I like that. But and the whole fact of the matter, I like the idea that, and you're gonna get me ranting, that Luke has a struggle of confidence. Like people are like, oh, that's not the Luke I remember. Yeah, that's the point. I'd like to see Luke like realize, crap, I can't, you know, I've reinstated I've taught this young guy here, Adam Driver, and I made a terrible mistake with him. I want to kill him. That kind of thing. That's interesting to me. I think it's interesting. But no, we can't have that. He's got to go back to everything, because then Luke can have a redeeming arc. The whole people get upset when characters do bad things. It's like that gives you opportunity for redemption. Redemption is the story. That's what's the fun part about it. But that's not my Luke. Okay, you guys are all gonna, you guys are gonna hate me for saying that. Yeah, Red Letter Media said the dirty secret is that Star Wars is only a very limited universe. That became ultimately crystal clear when they realized that Rey was a Palpatine. Like she couldn't just be a nobody. The story that she was a nobody. In fact, that's what the Last Jedi was. That she was who are her parents? They're nobody. You're nobody. That to me was like that's the heart of the message. But the next movie, like, no, screw that. Screw that. Yeah, Rogue One. I did not like Rogue One because I thought it was too dark, and I like dark stuff, but I just didn't vibe with any of the characters. There's a ton of Star Wars and books. There was a ton of things they could have done, but they threw it all out. Why does Disney feel the need to throw everything out? I don't understand this. Like, oh, they made She-Hulk. They could have used a She-Hulk storyline that was written before. Like nobody, I have never read a She-Hulk comic book in my life. So it would have been brand new to me, and then like the 100,000 people that may have read She-Hulk in the world, I don't know what the number, 100, it's not 100 million, but it's somewhere between 100,000 and 100 million, somewhere in there, right? And they get to finally visualize their She-Hulk. But no, they're like, screw that, screw everything, throw away the old, throw away the past, it's dead. The way Adam Driver would say, Kylo Ren, throw away the past, Rey. It's dead. Let's forge something new. That's like the motto of Disney. It's like, no, you've got all these comic books. You've got all these Star Wars books. You've got all this stuff that people love, apparently. Let's not do any of that. Let's just make our own stuff, which is not as good. And we're just going to throw people that don't know what they're doing, and they're just going to like jam it full of, what they think of as the proper message to be. No. Never mind. Sorry. All right. First 5 minutes of Rogue One review was coming. I don't remember seeing that one. Thoughts on Disney ruining every franchise they buy? I think I've gone a lot. I said a lot about Disney already. Basically, I say in a nutshell, Disney is in a lot of trouble. That they need to. I think I was listening. I think it was Nerdrotic or somebody was saying, like, Bob Iger's basically saying, we need to make better stuff. Like we can't just like we just can't like throw a bunch of crap out there and expect it to do well. We need to like, put some quality into our work again. So yeah, older stories might contain some dangerous levels of reactionary and essentialist elements. They're not, we need to update it for modern audiences. The cliche would go. I suspect that Disney has an agenda besides making good films. Well, Disney has an agenda. Obviously Disney has an agenda. I feel like, okay, I get in trouble for saying this. I feel like the theater kids have taken over Disney. And if you've been around theater kids, they're not that great. Like, that's basically it. The theater kids have taken over Disney, and instead of, you want the writers and you want the storytellers and you want people that are a little more serious to be running the studio, and that's what I worry about. They need some established characters. Like, come on, look. An example I give is Coco. To me, I love the movie Coco. Totally love that movie. Was it based on an established IP? No. Was it based on a fairy tale? I don't think so. Does it satisfy the multiculturalism, if you want to call it woke? Sure. Is it woke? Yes, it is. So it's not. Maybe it's not woke. Does it satisfy the multiculturalism? Yes, it does. Does it present non-white people on screen? Yes, it does. It does all of that. You can do great stories about people, about non-white people. You can make great stories. It's possible. They did it, but they refuse to do it. They refuse to give me an African origin story. Give me an African story, a classic Nairobi story, or I don't know, pick something, or an Indian story, or a Malaysian story, or something. and tell those stories. But they won't do that. Instead, they'll just remake Little Mermaid and just make everybody skin color, just dial down that skin color a little bit, and that will call that multiculturalism. No, that's not multiculturalism. Like that's phony multiculturalism. You want real multiculturalism? Make stories about other peoples and show those stories. Like, I mean, how many white kids in Nebraska get a great little taste of, Mexican culture and heritage from watching Coco versus, oh, let's just remake Peter Pan, but make everybody, dark skinned. And that's going to make everybody, no. Anyhow, try to keep your speech PG. I think I'm trying. You're doing a pretty good job of that. Everything, everywhere, all at once, and point. Sure. There's. I mean, the everything EEAO has a lot of Asian, particularly Chinese, influence. Obviously, because the half of the Daniels is Asian. Xiao Yo is obviously Asian. Ki Kwan is Vietnamese, but it's very similar cultures. But you don't get diversity by just window washing diversity. You got to do it through actually telling diverse stories. Anyhow, oh, you're not talking about me. You're talking about about Disney making everything PG. Yeah, I don't know what's up. Like I said, it's the theater kids have taken over and are running the studio, and it's no longer the actual storyteller adults. Let's put it that way. Anyhow, let's go. Let's see here. Elton John's Aida. Oh, there. Yeah. Why haven't they made Aida? Aida is a great story. You know what? I was introduced to Aida. How I was introduced to Aida was I was shooting a high school production of it, and I thought this is actually pretty good. Now, the high schoolers, the backing tracks they used were god awful. Like some of the tracks were really, really bad, and then the choreography was like, if you remember, Saturday Night Live used to have this like running sketch they would do was like the High School Musical, and high school like arts musical, and it was all the tropes from really edgy, artsy theater stuff. And then, honestly, I'll be the side point. Once I saw those sketches, I went back and listened to Hamilton. I couldn't take Hamilton as seriously anymore because Hamilton employs a lot of those things. Where like blackout, then lights on. The year 1776, blackout, that kind of stuff. But yeah, some of the choreography in Aida was just like do 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 do. It's like so bad. But Aida, I mean, doesn't Disney own Aida? I mean, I guess maybe they're worried but it's a great story. It's also if you wanted a movie with black people in it, because Aida's a story about, if you don't know, it's a story about the Greek conquest of. Maybe this is why they don't do it, because they're going to worry about the racism. The Greek conquest of not Nairobi, but it's the country just south of Egypt at the time in ancient times. Not Ethiopia, but Nubia. So maybe this is why they're not doing it. So the Greeks conquer Nubia, and they do bring some of the people. The royal house is enslaved by the Greeks, and the storyline is that the main character falls in love with the Aida, who's captured, who's enslaved because she was captured, basically. So he falls in love with her. It's like a love story. It's obviously based on the classic telling of Aida. It goes back to I forget if it existed before the opera, but it's Elton John's take on the opera of Aida, and it's pretty good. It's really good. It really is. So that's why they're not doing it, because it's not. It's problematic. That's why. Yeah. So, but it's really, I mean, it's Elton John's music is really good in it. The performances are really, you got some really great opportunity for some great performances, but it'd be protested to hell and back. My next video I'll do with ChatGPT. There you go. My phone's going off. Who's calling me there? Potential spam. Well, we're not going to answer that one. That's my favorite call. They're more likely to remake Birth of a Nation. Yeah. I want Trey Parker and Matt Stone to make Book of Mormon in the movie and just make any movie at all. Book of Mormon, I mean, needs to be a movie. It's so good. The thing about Book of Mormon, though, I realized is that it is, and unfortunately, this is the thing with all Matt Stone and Trey Parker musicals, and I'm including South Park and Team America, World Police in there, is they're meta, right? Like the Book of Mormon, all the songs are literally like they're all poking fun at other existing musicals. Every single one of them is a direct like satire on a particular song or like it pokes fun at Lion King with Hakuna Matata, Hasadiga Ibuai, right? That's literally a call to that. There's Defying Gravity is literally in there. So that's, the Book of Mormon exists I love it so much, but I think I love it because it layers everything else I love about the greater world of musicals, essentially. So it's like I can't think, like, Phantom of the Opera is one of my dear musicals in my heart. I love Phantom of the Opera, but I guess it also apes as far as the romantic opera, and there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of 80s Andrew Lloyd Webber doing crack cocaine kind of a sound feel to it. But like I discovered, like, to me, Phantom of the Opera kind of exists without, I can enjoy it and love it without having listened to a bunch of opera in the background. I don't know. I don't know if what I'm saying even makes sense. I think it does. I'm just saying that I love Book of Mormon so much because I'm familiar with all the other projects out there. Jaws and Inside Out are both rated PG. One is not like the other. That's for sure. Oh, you've been to this house in Venice? That's cool. All right. So Ian and I think Helium are talking back at each other. So I'll stay out of that unless you want me get in there. Yeah, Trey Parker is definitely a huge musical theater nerd. Yeah, I think like I say, Damien Chazelle is my evil me. Like if I were to clone myself, but in the cloning process, everything got like inverted except for our likes and dislikes, then Damien Chazelle would be like evil me, but with like an evil mustache. But Trey Parker, like, if you take my love of musicals, Trey Parker is my best buddy. Like, I would love to hang out with Trey Parker. Like, I think we have a lot more in common. Thoughts on DaVinci Resolve? My God, we just talked about DaVinci Resolve. Just roll back, you'll see me talk about DaVinci Resolve. Not that I care, but I found it curious. Big movie actress asking... Oh, I just lost it there. Big movie asking to do nudity is degrading, but plenty of unknown actors doing extras HBO shows never receive attention. Yeah. Am I going to be... I guess I'll be blunt and honest. I think there's nothing wrong with nudity. Like, nudity is, to me, fine. I don't think it's degrading at all, because it can be degrading if it's not done in a way that's kind of respectful. And I'm talking about on-set nudity. Like, if you're not being respectful of the actress and all that stuff, or actor, let's put it that way. I think I've seen more male butts on nude butts on HBO now than female tops. Let's say that. The thing is, though, like, I don't know. I take it more of a European approach, I guess, to nudity. We're all naked under our clothes. Some of us are just better looking than other people, naked under our clothes. And you know what? There are certain people I like to look at the screen because they look so good on screen. And sometimes those people, when they don't have their clothes on, they look really good. And I'm cool with that. So I don't have a problem with nudity necessarily. My business partner would at the before would say nudity is just a different costume, lack of costume really, but it's just a different kind of costume, just different skin. And I've shot some nude photos, like I have had models. It's the obsession of like nudity with sexuality. You can have nudity without sexuality. I mean, obviously, a lot of time, a lot of nudity in films is for sexuality, right? Very rarely do actresses or actors get naked on film. Well, actors more so, they get naked for non-sexual reasons. But usually, like I guess with females more so, that the nudity involved is in a sexual context, right? I don't know. I just don't think it's degrading necessarily, especially for how much these ladies work probably to get really good shape to look that good on camera. I don't have a problem with it. Of course, I'm probably considered just a horrible slob, misogynistic slob. I've been labeled all that. At this point, I don't care anymore. I just don't care. Yeah, as long as the actors feel comfortable about it. If not, find a double. Don't force it. There you go. But the commentary can be annoying. It's not degrading. I just don't think it's degrading. Look, an actor can choose what their lines are. An actor may have an issue like I don't want to ever play a. I would never want to play a child rapist. Okay, so an actor may say I will never take a role. That's my limit. I'm not going to do a movie where I'm a child rapist. Sure, every actor can have their line and what they find comfortable being in and portraying as. Okay, doesn't mean those projects aren't going to be made. Like you might make a movie where you're trying to catch a child rapist, right? Somebody's got to play that part. You know what I mean? So I just don't see and from a production standpoint, it just seems to me like a movie has nudity in the correct context adds production value. Like it's like, oh, I haven't seen this, like, all right. I was talking a couple weeks ago, I was talking about watching the movie. I figured it was on Amazon. Amazon serves me some very, very weird, low rate, somewhat, it's exploitative material. And there was a movie called like Lesbians in Love or something, Lesbian Dating or some movie like that, right? And I was like, okay, what is this, And there was no nudity in this lesbian sex comedy something or another. There was no nudity, and I thought, well, why would there not be any nudity? Because obviously if it's aiming for lesbians and they would like to see other hot women naked, why not? And there's men that want to watch this because they like to see hot naked women. So why wouldn't you include that? It just seems like dumb. Like you should just have some. I'm not. This sounds horrible, right? It sounds absolutely horrible. And whatever. If I'm going to get more attention on YouTube for saying this, and it is what it is. But I just feel like there's nothing wrong with nudity. And sometimes nudity is just adds a little bit of extra production value. It's something we're not supposed to see. It adds a little bit of mystique, and you can do a nudity in a way that's very, very tasteful and very titillating almost. You don't think we full frontal and just gynecological shove a light in there. You don't want to do that. But if it's seductively interesting, it can be PG nudity, right? Where it's like hidden in shadow and stuff like that. That's titillating. It's fun. It's good stuff. It's male gaze, John. Of course it is. But the male gaze, they're probably not going to watch. They don't want ladies. The male gaze, they want to see men's butts. Anyhow, terrible, terrible, John. Canceled immediately. Put them away. In one of the last Dexter episodes, a female actor from Eureka did an uncalled for nude scene. She never credited or need pad in the DVD release. Weird. Hey, remember that I really like this movie. It's called The Favorite. Remember that movie came out a couple years ago, and it marks it's the first Emma Stone movie where she's naked in it, where she's topless, and it was her idea. If you guys remember that, and her nudity was in a sense sort of sexual, but it wasn't. Basically, The Favorite is between Rachel Watson or something like that. Rachel Welch, I forget her last name. 007, Craig Ferguson. Jesus. James Bond's wife. She was in The Mummy, Rachel, whatever her name is. And then Emma Stone. And Rachel plays the courtesan to the queen. And Emma Stone is sort of the usurper of her position. And so, because the queen and the Rachel lady, Weitz, thank you, Rachel Weitz, right? They're kind of, they have like a sexual relationship. So Emma Stone is able to insert herself into that relationship. And so one night, Rachel Weisz comes to the bedroom, and Olivia Colman plays the queen, and she sees the Rachel Colman and Emma Stone in bed together, and she's like, "Uh-oh, like I've been replaced by this upstart uppity Emma Stone." And Emma Stone pulls back the covers and shows her topless, her breasts, topless, uncovered breasts. And at that point, she thinks they're sleeping, but Emma Stone opens her eyes. And it's like, oh crap. And that was, okay, so anyhow, the story point, she just told her, I am replacing you, right? In the story. Story about that was, it wasn't in the script. It was her idea. It was Emma Stone's idea. Like that, I mean, if you watch the scene, it's not a sexy scene. It's literally just, it's like a bitch slap scene. Like you just got slapped down. Jack Ripper said, I'd go nude for a Yorgos Lanthimos movie as well. And Yorgos is the director of that movie, right? Yeah, I mean, he would never want me to be naked because I think that would be box office poison, right? So if I was naked in the movie, no one would come see it. But if I was good looking, that's like if you're, that's why people go see movies. That's why people like nudity movies, that they're good looking actors and actresses. Not, they don't want to see me, right? I'm going to get so canceled. Whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm tired of trying to kowtow to, I'm not going to kowtow to whatever nonsense that they're going to tell me and how sexist I am. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I ain't going to get a girlfriend that way. Excuse me. Let's get off mic there. All right. So that's enough about nudity. It seems like a rite of passage, like male actors playing female roles. I think it's no longer a rite of passage anymore. Yeah, nudity can mean the character is vulnerable too. I think in that movie, though, I think it was a power play. It was just like a total power play. How about them Yankees, says Helium Road. How about them Yankees? That's one thing I do not follow is baseball. I have no clue. No clue about baseball. Or football. Or whatever the hell the Yankees play. I know they play baseball. Controversy could start for not reason Last Tango in Paris. So you're talking about Last Tango in Paris is, yeah. There's a lot more with Last Tango that it's not just the nudity. I think in Last Tango, it's really kind of the way the actress kind of more felt like being used by Marlon Brando, and again that's there is the aspect of it. Like let's say you got a Marlon Brando. At the time, huge star, is like, hey, why don't we shoot this scene where basically I'm going to like rub you in a way with a stick of butter kind of a thing. And it's not really for the movie, but it's going to get you in the mindset of the movie, but it is for the movie. Is that really, I mean, the question is that going to be an abuse of power? Is that really abuse of power for you can, the argument is it's abuse of power for art, but is it really for art? that's where the question gets in there. You know, it's I find myself more on like I don't know. I have to really know more details about that. The famous stalker boombox scene and say anything was mischaracterized as a stalker scene lately. Oh, has it? But so impact. It's always it's always a stalker if he's not it's only a stalker if he's not attractive. He looks like me, be like call the police. I'm going to dial 911 because there's a guy holding a boombox all there. So I didn't want to get Cantaloupe Jones in there because he was asking. Sorry, I think. Does anyone know an estimate how long ago he talked about DaVinci Resolve in the stream? It was probably in the first 10 minutes or so, I think. I think I was talking about it there. How much of the city is like this? Running a mile. I'm not sure what we're talking about. Last Tango's best scene, the scene that caused the most controversy due to the director not finding a double. I don't think I've seen Last Tango. I just know a little bit about the controversy. Yeah. Another one of the tricks they used to use was making people wait for interviews to make them stressed. Also, power play. Yeah, like that. I'm generally as far as directing, I'm generally against the whole idea of power plays and psychological tricks like that. Like I love Kubrick. Kubrick's one of my favorite directors, but I don't think he got a better performance out of what's her name, Wendy from I'm blanking out her name now. In The Shining, I don't think he got a better performance out of her, driving her that crazy. Because I don't think she's that great of. I just don't. I don't like her character. It's way too over the top. I think they could have reined that way back. But the movie's amazing. But I don't love her performance. Shelley Duvall. Thank you. Thank you. Chat's always comes through with these names. Not good with them. I just don't think that was worth it. I don't think it was worth it. There is actually a good movie with Paul Walker in it. Do you know it? No, I don't. Which one's Paul Walker? I forget which one's Paul Walker. Rigel7 says, yep, long and short of it, I don't like Resolve. Not for editing, at least. Not for editing. All right, what time is it? Almost 6 o'clock. I have to get going pretty soon, but I'll hang out until 6. I've got a steak that's hopefully thoroughly thawed by the time I get home. I'm going to go get to the store. Shelley Duvall was the best ever at Olive Oil and Popeye. She was born to play that role. Yeah, she looks like She looks like Olive Oil, doesn't she? I never saw Popeye, but I didn't realize until very long. I watched Punch Drunk Love, and Punch Drunk Love has a needle drop from Popeye, and I love that needle drop. There's just a little portion of it. It's a waltz, and to me that was the most romantic movie, Punch Drunk Love, I had seen at that time. The most romantic, that little waltzing thing with that lady's voice that sings the song from Popeye. I need to go back and watch that movie now. He Needs Me. Yeah, that's the one. That's what I'm talking about. He Needs Me. That is such, like, for when I saw the movie in my 20s, that was like, to be fair, my 20s was that raging manic pixie dream girl thing. And that song with the ukulele and the little girls singing off key. Like, that's what it felt like to be in love when you're in 20s. Now I can look at that and like roll my eyes like, fucking teenagers. but like back then, like that whole kind of hipster vibe of, a girl that's kind of cute, but not like drop dead stunning, gorgeous, but just cute, awkward, socially awkward, that cute. That's my kryptonite, man. The manic pixie dream girl. And then back then too, like Zoe Deschanel was like my dream girl, because of 500 nights of 500 nights of summer, or whatever, 500 days of summer. And I like Zoe Deschanel just because I like that look. I like girls with big eyes. So Anyhow, yeah, it's Duvall singing. That's why I think that's what it. Yeah, but that's what I loved about it. I didn't realize that was Duvall singing. I didn't even realize that was from Popeye. It wasn't until like way later I discovered. Oh, that song's from Popeye. I didn't know that. It's crazy. All right. Is it mostly confined to Skid Row, or is it like an all-over problem? You're talking about homelessness? Because in LA, it's everywhere. It's like even on Hollywood Boulevard, like homelessness is just like crazy. It's like on Hollywood Boulevard, sitting on the Star, like the walk of, there's like homeless people camped out there. Anyhow, Matthew says, I love the video of Hitchcock talking about long takes from Rope in an interview with Dick Cavett. You really feel Hitchcock's immense frustration how difficult to do those long takes are. They are extremely difficult. They really are. Yeah. I have never seen Jaws 4, but by all accounts it was terrible. However, I have seen the house that it built, and it is terrific. True. Truer words never been spoken. Duvall's a good actress in Altman's Three Women. I think Duvall is a good actress. I just don't, that movie. If all I saw was that movie, I would never watch another Shelley Duvall movie. There's a couple other movies I saw. Wasn't she in some Woody Allen movies too? She was pretty good. Ever think about selling your California home, moving somewhere cheaper? A lot of times I do. You know what movie? Okay, I'll tell you what movie I did watch. I was trying to rack my brain for a movie I watched this last week because I was been so busy. I haven't, but I think I saw this last Sunday. The Founder. I watched The Founder, and God, I must say I really like that movie. That's the one with Michael Keaton as Ray Kroc, and then Nick Offerman as one of the McDonald's brothers, and that other guy, the bald guy that's always like he's in every single. He was in Fargo. He's in Drew Carey's show. Those are the two movies I definitely know he was in. I forget his name. I wouldn't have remembered it if I saw it. Yeah, Shelley Duvall wasn't Annie Hall too. Yeah, but The Founder was a really good movie, and I felt like The Founder was a throwback to like biopics made in the '90s and early 2000s. Like it was a fair movie. It wasn't like it didn't get up in a soapbox and preach like anti-capitalism, but it also had the criticism of capitalism, and it had both. It just felt like a fair movie. It wasn't like super. It wasn't like wow, this is the most amazing thing, but it was a what I call fairway drive right down the middle. It was just a really pleasant movie. It made me interested in the history of McDonald's. It made me interested in so the double quarter pounder with cheese. That was way after the McDonald's brothers, right? The McDonald's brothers only got them so far, but stuff like the quarter pounder with cheese and the Big Mac and all that stuff, that would have never happened if the McDonald's brothers were still involved with the thing. So, but I thought that movie was really fascinating, and so why I brought it up. Somebody was asking, Count for Comment was asking about selling my home in California and moving somewhere else. Not recently, but like last year, I went to Tennessee to visit a friend who had moved to Kentucky, actually. But we went to Tennessee first because I wanted to check out Tennessee. And I was just struck by how green everything was in Tennessee. And watching The Founder and watching the guy, Michael Keaton at a gas station, and across this way, there's just grass everywhere. There's thing about California is when there's just no development, it's either brown or dark green. There's nothing right now it's kind of greenish because we had tons of rain, but it's just kind of brown and deserty. That's just the default look of California is desert, brown. But if you get to like Tennessee or Louisiana, I haven't gone to the deep south, but I was kind of curious about it. Kentucky's more yellow. Kentucky to me, I get the sense of yellowness in Kentucky. But Tennessee is like green, lush and green. And part of me kind of pined for that. Like my heart's like, oh yeah. The idea of just getting out of the car and it's like muggy and humid and there's green everywhere. That's just something I kind of yearn for. It's kind of cool. There's 3 states within Tennessee: East, West, and Middle. Yeah, so we landed in Memphis, spent some time in Memphis, and went up to Kentucky, to where my friend lives, and he might be on the stream. I don't know. He usually comes on the streams, and then we went down to Nashville, and then we cut back from Nashville back to Memphis. So that was like a triangle trip, right? But yeah, no, it was pretty cool. Uh, oh yeah, Christoph, you're asking about if Cantaloupe Jones uses 2.65. Yeah, that 265 is H.265 is not your friend, not your friend. MKL, I'm from Kentucky, definitely not yellow. Well, I guess the part of Kentucky that I drove through was very yellow, because it's like and this is like April, like going from Kentucky or from Tennessee, which is like super, everything's green, 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 to like Kentucky, we started seeing like straw fields. So there's a lot of straw. So it's or in corn and straw. So it morphed into more of a yellow, like golden harvest wheat fields of wheat, right? That's what I liked about Kentucky. So I always think about the songs of my old Kentucky home and stuff like that. Gives me visions of Kentucky. But yeah, I mean, would I think about moving out there? Sure, but the problem is I have my business out here, and I make my money out here. If I sold my house and moved out there, I could probably buy. If I were to buy the same size house, I probably could buy a half the cost, depending on where you live. If you live in the city, if you live close to like Nashville, or you live, if you live within city bounds of Nashville, you're not going to save any money. It's not going to. But if you get a little further out, you can save quite a bit. And I was saying, look at Ohio too. Like Owensboro was looking interesting, because Owensboro is a city. It's close to the size of the city I live in now, but the cost would be like half as much. Anyhow, have you seen The Fabelmans? Worth? Not yet. I should probably just bite the bullet and realize that I'm going to be terribly jealous of Spielberg, but I'm just going to watch this. There's a reason why Ireland's called the Emerald Isles. If you ever go, don't try to drive in the rural areas. I just, something about the green. I don't know. So when I was a kid, maybe it's harkening back to my childhood memories, because my father's side of the family lives all on the East Coast. At least they did. My aunt's children live in the house that my grandfather built. Literally built a house. Used to be on 10 acres of land, but now it's like down to like maybe 2 or 3. But super green. He built this house. But yeah, like just memories of going out to visit and they lived in New Jersey, in Williamsport, New Jersey. So I was gonna get that vision of those summer days of the just over luscious greenery, humid greenery. I don't know. Maybe I'm pining for that now that I'm alone, be sitting at home by myself. It gets progressively the country to go for east. Why is H.265 not good? What's better alternative? H.265 is fine for delivery, but the problem is H.265 is extremely computationally heavy. Like, it is extremely. Your better alternative would be H.264 if you wanted to edit footage. It's again not even recommended to edit with H.264. You should really use like a ProRes or DNX HD for if you want to edit, and those are going to be much friendlier. But H.264 is small file size. Let's be honest. And that's what if you're doing it, if you're just going to be doing small edits and you're not doing too much on color grading and stuff like that, H.264 is fine. It's fine. The quality will be fine if you encode it at a high enough bit rate. It'll be fine. But ProRes is way, way better as far as speed and quality. So that's why you would prefer that over H.264. Never edit with that. Just you can deliver that. You can export to that. Sure, that's fine. But never edit with H.264. Just don't do it. Convert to something else. Like it's just hard. Keep paddling. I hear banjos. That sounds about right. I would get down to Alabama now. I wouldn't mind visiting Alabama, but I want to go. I still want to go to Louisiana too. I want to check out. I'd love to go check out New Orleans. So definitely, it's 6:02. All right, my voice is starting to go, and I need to go get dinner and go finish my work. Actually, just export the video files so they can preview them and tell me everything they need to fix. All 11 videos, and then all week I'll be doing that. All right, yeah, let's cap it off here tonight. Thanks for hanging out and checking out the stream here, and yeah, let's. I'll just wrap it up with I'm going to try to make some videos this week. Hopefully, I have time to, depending on how my schedule goes this week. Find and leave us like you always do. Exactly. Eat that steak. Yeah, now the comments are coming in fast and furious. There's getting to be a lull there in the conversation. Yeah, I'm gonna get my steak on. I got some Brussels sprouts. I can cook some Brussels sprouts with some olive oil and some balsamic vinegar and garlic and Brussels sprouts. That would be really good. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. We'll see you next time, next weekend, and we'll talk to you guys later. Let's fade out.